White balance is a camera setting that adjusts for lighting in order to make white objects appear white in photos. This is more difficult than it might seem due to the fact that light cast from different sources is different in color. That is to say, light is rarely truly white in nature. The light from an incandescent halogen bulb, for example, is blue in color, while the light that comes from a sun is relatively orange or red. A proper white balance setting in a camera will prevent, for example, a white bed sheet in a photo from appearing orange in color when a candle is illuminating it. The left photo shows the camera's white balance setting set to daylight, with the background going yellow from the ambient fluorescent lighting. The right photo has fluorescent lighting around the room, and the camera's white balance setting on fluorescent. Everything in the photo cleans up nicely, and the colors are far more accurate throughout the image. There are generally 8 types of white balance. This includes auto white balance, tungsten white balance, daylight white balance, cloudy white balance, flash white balance, fluorescent white balance, shady white balance, and finally, custom white balance. By default, DSLRs and point-and-shoots alike are set to the auto white balance setting. Based on the surroundings, for example natural light and aperture settings, the camera calculates and sets the white balance based on these factors and focus spots combined automatically. If there is too much warmth and perhaps a lot of yellow tones when shooting indoors, you can reduce this with the tungsten white balance setting. This setting adds cooler tones, enhances white shades, and generally makes a photo a whole lot brighter, giving you the best possible results when shooting indoors. If it is especially bright outside and you'd like to add some warmth to your photo, daylight adds touches of warm tones, usually in a more bluish nature, to your frame. This setting helps your white balance and makes it the best it could possibly be when shooting outdoors, giving you a clear, crisp photo. Like daylight, cloudy settings tend to be plain and whitewashed under auto white balance. Using the cloudy white balance function, you can add some additional warmth, usually a more golden touch and depth to your photo. Cloudy also works very well for indoor photos that are lackluster and need a bit of a natural boost. A camera's built-in flash tends to produce a lot of cool tones on its own, so in order to fight it, use flash with the flash white balance. Fluorescent white balance adds warm tones as well, but they are usually a bit more red or purple. It could be fun to use for parties, or if there happens to be a lot of red tones in your setting, but your camera isn't capturing them very well. Using custom white balance isn't difficult. Put a white or gray card in front of the camera, press the shoot button, and the camera is matched to the scene. Custom white balance procedures should be consistent, but they aren't. Cameras vary considerably in how this setting is achieved, even among the same brand. First, you need to set up the custom white balance, then select it among your white balance settings for actual photography. Setup is usually menu based. Place something white in front of your camera. It doesn't have to be in focus unless your camera won't work otherwise. Be sure it's in the same light as your subject. The next step, you play back that photo and lock in the white balance based on it. Once you set the white balance, you need to be sure you've chosen it among your white balance selections. Custom white balance is a great way to increase your control over your image while you're still in the field shooting. Plus, it often will reduce the time you spend in front of the computer later doing your editing.
Using a custom white balance is very easy. The first thing you need is a white or gray card. Next, take a picture of the white or gray card. Now, go to the menu, go to Custom White Balance, select the picture, and lock it in.
White balance is essentially how the camera sees white. Unlike the human eye, which automatically tells us white is white, the sensor at the heart of any digital camera has to be told what is white so it can process and represent colors correctly. Even with film, white balance was important as shooting in different lighting conditions can result in different color casts being captured in the photos. On almost all digital cameras, and even in some mobile phone cameras, there is the option of choosing a white balance from a number of different options. However, what do all these options mean, and how do we use them? People will look at this and think it is entirely too difficult. The other options are preset color temperatures that have been programmed into the camera that should be used when appropriate. For example, use daylight when you are in sunlight. Use incandescent or tungsten when you are in an area whereby incandescent lighting. Usually, the preset will get better results when used in a correct environment. When used properly, white balance can provide the best results when you're taking a picture or shooting video. As you have seen throughout this tutorial, white balance is very critical when it comes to recording. In the end, you have to be cautious about the white balance when recording to get the best results.